Randomness? It's a girl thing. Planning your entire future with a guy you've only spoken 3 words to? It's a girl thing. Online shopping problem? It's a girl thing. A full camera roll? It's a girl thing. Going to the bathroom together? It's a girl thing. You name it. It's a girl thing. Hi and welcome back to the It's a Girl Thing podcast. It's Kate as always, and today I have another exciting guest for you. This is Sophia Petro. She is an Australian musician and I absolutely love her music, so I hope you will too, and we'll get to know her a little bit more in this episode. Don't forget to leave a review if you enjoy listening to the show. But for now, let's get into it. Hi Sophia, welcome. Do you want to tell us a bit about yourself, your life story, and your music?
Hi, thank you so much for having me. Yeah, I'm just a little Australian artist. I'm from Melbourne, and I write very, I would say, folky country pop music and have been for over a decade now. And last year, I finally mustered up the courage to start releasing my music, which was a big milestone. And here we are, a year down the track, and it seems to be going really well. And yeah, that's kind of where I'm at in this journey.
I love it. What kind of got you wanting to finally release it after so long of just making it for yourself, so to speak?
I guess it had always been a lifelong dream, and I knew at some point I was either going to have to fulfill it or just be deeply regretful. So I was just got over the fear of, people thinking people weren't going to like it and wanting people to validate it. And I was like, you know what, who cares? Just put it out there for yourself. And if people like it and connect with it, well, that's great. But if not, well, at least you can tick it off your list and say, you know what, I actually tried and actually did that. So
That's such a good way to think about it. It's like, well, you're either going to live with the regret of not doing it, or you're going to do it and either find success or non-success.
pretty much.
You've got two options.
Pretty much. And I think it's better to just give it a go, because at least then you can look back and be like, I tried and I tried really hard. And even if it didn't work out the way I envisioned it, I'm sure some type of doors always open when you persist and try really hard. So,
Absolutely. What was the first song you released?
I released Memory of You in February of last year, and that was the first song I put out there, and I was like, here you go. Hope you like it.
It's like, here's a taster. Let
Yeah.
me know if we approve, and then I'll serve you the full course.
Pretty much. That was the mindset. And we're lucky to have, platforms like TikTok, which, people can find you from all over the world who just would not have found you if not. So I was lucky that some people discovered Memory of You from that, and that was great.
That's how I discovered you as well, was through TikTok. It popped it up on my For You page, and it was one of your ones talking about how your style of music was similar to Taylor Swift and Maisie Peters and stuff like that. And that popped up, and then I was like, wait, this is your music in the background? And I was like, okay, follow. Now let's go to Spotify.
I
And then
love
it's kind of
that.
just been there ever since.
Oh, that makes me so happy. Thank you.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about what your life's like outside of your music? Separate the two for a quick minute.
Yeah, I am such an average person. Everyone asks me this, and I'm like, there's really not a fun answer. I'm so sorry. I'm a uni student. So, I'm just studying, working, doing the thing that we all do when we're in our 20s, trying to stay afloat. That's my entire life. I go to uni, I go to work, I see my friends. Yay!
What are you studying?
I'm studying law, which is very out of
Wow.
left field, but it's okay. I think music is a fantastic creative outlet, because law is not a very creative thing to study. It's a bit dry, but I have all this fun music, pop girly stuff I do, so I'm surviving.
You've got the best of both worlds. You've got your very stiff, dry but academic, and then you've got your very creative chaos girly side, and I love it.
Pretty much.
Okay, so let's talk about music. What are some of your favorite artists at the moment that you enjoy listening to, or some of your favorite songs?
Okay. Oh, this is okay. I'm a Swiftie till I die. That's actually a Taylor Swift poster.
I love it.
Okay, so Taylor Swift, always. I'm so excited for the new album. I've been like counting down the days for that one. And then I'm a big Maisie Peters girl. I'm seeing her next week, I believe. She's coming to Melbourne. Yeah, so I'm very excited. I love Greta Ray. She's an Australian artist. She's phenomenal. She put out a new album last year called Positive Spin, and if you haven't listened to it, you should. It's so good, and she's opened for Maisie quite a few times and is next week as well. So like she's fantastic. And I'm also in my Noah Kahan era. Like I love Noah Kahan.
I
He's
think
so
everybody's
good.
in their Noah Kahan era at the moment, honestly.
Yeah. So that's pretty much that's my circle that I listen to at the moment.
Going off Taylor Swift, do we have a favorite album, a favorite era, favorite songs?
Oh, it changes so often. This is such a hard question because
What's
every
the
week
current faves then? What's the
I'm in
go-to
my
at the moment?
I'm in my Red TV era. I love Red. And that is like a quintessential album for me. I feel like that was kind of when I first discovered her music and got into her like a decade ago or like longer. So that album has a really special place in my heart. And she did Come Back Be Here as a surprise song when I went to Eras tour. So I'm hyper fixating on that song still. I can't stop listening to it. But I'm all albums, all.
I'm so jealous that you got to go to the Eras tour. Oh,
It was
that's
so
like,
good.
oh, she should have come to New Zealand. That breaks my heart a little bit more every day.
Yeah. Yeah, and I feel like Australia was the closest place to go see her, but then, also it was only Sydney and Melbourne, so then everyone else in Australia wanted to, fly in for those shows, so it was like there was too many people and not enough shows, and so many people missed out, and it was really, yeah, upsetting.
For me, the sucky thing was like Taylor's one of the few artists that I would like sell my soul to go and see. Like I was willing to fork out the money, but it was like
Yeah.
about 3 weeks into my uni, and I was
Yeah.
like, I can't really just up and go. One of the girls in my class did it, and I'm like, I could not have just up and gone. I
Yeah.
didn't want to like miss anything.
So fair. It's such a huge commitment coming from like a different country to see her. And I agree, like I would, but also like if it's mid-semester and you've got assessments, sometimes life it just doesn't line up and it is what it is, I guess.
Definitely. I think part of why I was so disappointed was because it was the Eras tour, so it had like
Yeah.
a bit of everything, whereas it wasn't
Everything.
just the one. And I'm very much like a bit of everything kind of gal. So
Yeah.
missing
You
out
haven't
on
got
getting
a
to see all of the above kind of thing was a bit of a bummer,
yeah.
but at least the Eras tour movie exists. So like the documentaries, and that's coming out on Disney Plus. I think it's today even. So
Yeah, I think you're right.
that might be
So
tonight's treat.
I have a viewing party, that'd be great.
Honestly, sounds like a plan. So let's dig into some questions. So I have the go-to, my ultimate fave question that I ask everybody, which is, what's your favorite thing about being a girl?
I really thought about this because when we spoke prior to this, I was like, I have no idea. There are so many great things, but I think I have come to the conclusion that my favorite thing about being a girl is the support network that like women in my life foster for me. I have the best support network and like the loveliest girls in my life. And like, you know, every time I'm just going through something, or not even going through something, but especially, when you're at your lowest and you're just struggling, I don't even have to say, I need you. They're just there, just every day showing up. And I just don't think anyone else in my life shows up the way women in my life show up for me. And my favorite thing about being a girl is just, I feel like we're just, at least in my experience. And yeah, I'm lucky. Yeah, grateful.
That's absolutely precious. I love that
Yeah.
answer. I feel like that's a common theme is like the connections and the friendships that you make
Yeah.
just from being a woman and being a girl.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. I agree.
Because I was talking to Ali on one of the previous episodes, and she talked about like the drunk conversations you have in like the bathrooms and things like that. And I'm like, I feel like that's just such a girl thing, like such a feminine
Such a girl thing.
experience.
It is. No one else, no one else knows except for like the girls in the bathroom, and everyone's a bit drunk and someone's crying about their ex-boyfriend, and then we're all around, being like, don't go back. And we have never met this person ever before, but I'm like, I know you, I know what's right for you, and I know that you shouldn't text him.
I feel like that is the most universal experience, is a girl in the bathroom going, I want to call my ex, and you're like, and everyone's like, no, nobody do it. Do not stop at all costs.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
could not
So true.
imagine like guys having that conversation.
No, they'd be like, do it, bro.
They'd be like, yeah, just whatever.
Whatever, I don't care.
Awesome. How old were you when you fell in love with music?
11 was how old I was. Yeah, I started writing, like I wrote my first song when I was 11 years old, and I'd always been like a nerdy literature kid. I was always into writing, and I was like writing a novel at like 10 years old because that was the future I envisioned for myself. But my dad is a musician, and he taught me how to play like piano and guitar. And one day I just thought, you know what? I can take my little love for literature, and I can take the musical ability I have, and I can smush it into one. And that's like that's how I discovered songwriting. And it's definitely like my favorite form of writing. So that's kind of, yeah, that's how it started.
Did you like have, because you've just said your dad is a musician, did you like have that kind of always surrounded by music growing up as well? Like it was always just there. It was like a part of your everyday life.
For sure. He plays classical piano. So I actually listened to a lot of classical music growing up. And I went to a Steiner school, which is like a Waldorf Steiner education, which is a bit of an alternative way of learning. But one of the, requirements for that way of learning is you have to learn an instrument, at least at the school I went to. So I was playing like viola from primary school, and it's a lot of very classical music. So there was a lot of classical music in my house, and also he does play bass guitar as well. So then we were listening to like Fleetwood Mac and Carole King and all these, great bands and artists, him just like learning the bass lines. But I have it imprinted in my brain because, he practiced so diligently. So yeah, I think I got a very wide variety of music from a very young age.
I love that. I love that it's like you grew up in like classical music, but then also like listening to your music now. There's such like there's no interaction, and I love it.
Nah, it's not for me. I appreciate it, but I'm a lyrics girly. So, you know,
I think the only time I listen to like non-lyrics music is sometimes when I'm studying.
absolutely. That is when I get into my classical. I'm like, okay, I need to do some hardcore studying, and I need no lyrics, nothing to distract me. Agreed.
I was listening to because Spotify has their like on repeat that they create for you based on your like top 20 or 30 songs that you've been listening to recently. And that's my go-to because I know it's the stuff I'm kind of into at the moment.
For
And I was
sure.
listening to it while studying, and I was like, I got about 20 minutes and I'm like, no, I can't do this anymore. I'm just chilling, jamming out. And it
It's
was not going well.
it's like when you're listening to music, like songs you love, and you're studying, and then you accidentally start writing the lyrics instead of the notes that you're meant to be writing. You're like, okay, Cruel Summer was not was not in the syllabus. Interesting. So
It's
no,
like
I can't.
physics was not drunk in the back of the car.
No, no, it was not. It was not.
You've kind of touched on this, but do you play any instruments? And what was like the first instrument you learned how to play?
So the first instrument was viola. Super random. I don't know if I can play it still. I have this conversation with my producer at least once a month. She's like, we need strings on this song. And I'm like, don't look in my direction. And she's like, but you played viola for like 10 years. And I'm like, but I don't remember. Maybe I could.
Maybe it's muscle
Unsure.
memory.
Maybe it is. So I'm wanting to like whip out my viola at some point and see if I still have it in me. And oh, I do play instruments apart from that. Sorry, I had a moment with what question you asked me. I play guitar and I play piano. And yeah.
How long have you been playing guitar and piano?
Ooh, so a while. Not well, but for a long time. My dad, again, like probably taught me how to play at like 11-ish, 11, 12 years old. So I've had a basic knowledge of both for over a decade or about a decade. Am I any good? That's another question. That requires practicing. And you know what? I'm pretty bad at practicing, but I can get by. Like I can get by.
To be honest, I learnt guitar on and off for about 10 years. And can I play anything now? I can probably do like the three most basic chords, and that's about it. Because the
For
one thing
sure.
of my downfall was I just didn't practice.
Yeah,
Like, I enjoyed playing the guitar and going to my lessons, but I had no desire to practice.
for sure. And I think, yeah, I think I just love the like writing, singing aspect of music so much more than the playing the instrument aspect of music. And I'm just so happy to like have someone else do that and just write the songs and, uh, dance around. So I think I just haven't got the drive to practice. But this year, one of my like bucket list, resolutions for this year was practice. Practice your instruments. So we'll see how I go. Stay tuned.
Okay. What inspires your music?
Honestly, just my life and like my friends' lives and the people surrounding me. I think I've I write music about very personal experiences, and that's kind of why I started doing it really as like an emotional outlet and a way to, I feel like when you and it's kind of a way of analyzing and processing a situation I'm experiencing. So I think what inspires me is life and all of the things that happen to me, but also to my friends. And I draw a lot of inspiration of, things my friends are going through and things that really connect with me as well. And I'm like, wow, that is such a universal experience. So yeah, I guess just if yeah, anyone who knows me.
I feel
Anyone who says hi, I'm like, okay, perfect. Inspiration,
like
inspiration.
it's like the way you said hi just made me think.
That's a good lyric there. Yeah, no, for sure.
I love that. I feel like that's so true for so many things that we do, that the people around us are where we draw those inspirations from because it's what we see most.
For sure. For sure. Yeah. And yeah.
Do you draw inspiration from like other artists as well, or is it mainly just the experiences you've had that you bring into your like music process?
I think in the case of Taylor Swift, she is ingrained in my very being because I've been, a Swiftie for like a decade. And I just think even subconsciously, like what she does and the way she writes, and she writes such, intricate experiences. She's not the type of lyricist who just, writes a very general experience. She's always drawing like very specific things, like it was Wednesday and it was, this time and I think a lot of that has really inspired me to not just write about, like general feelings of love, to draw very specific, you know, things from my life and things that impacted me and exact dates and exact what the sky looked like and what time of day it was and what the lines on your face look like when just really specific things. And I think like I owe that to her and her ability to just be really intricate in her lyricism.
I love that. I love Taylor's music, so absolutely. Do you
For sure.
find the writing process like therapeutic for you?
Yeah, for sure. As I was saying, I feel like I got into writing as a very like emotional outlet and a way to like process my feelings and my experiences. So I think that's like how it started really, just, you know, being an adolescent and everyone's a little bit confused and has no idea what they're doing, and having a really a creative outlet and a way to like clarify your emotions, which can sometimes feel huge and all consuming, was a really, important part of dealing and growing up and just, being able to sort out my erratic thoughts. So thanks, songwriting.
So would you say, like for me growing up, I had like a diary, like a journal that it was like, Dear Diary, a little kid, cringy, I know, but it was what I did. Would you almost say like songwriting was essentially your equivalent of like a journal?
For sure. 100%. And it's so funny because I go back through the archives once in a while and I'll listen to all these songs I wrote, 2017, 2018, 2019, and just, it's so you can follow the events of my life so closely because it's like one tiny thing happened, song, another tiny thing happened, song. And I'm like, okay, this is what we were going through. This is who we were friends with. This is who we had a crush on. Got it, got it, got it, got it. So I think that's really funny. I love it. I'm like, wow, that was a time. That was a time to look back on. So yeah, it's very orderly.
I feel like it's even funny to look back and like almost cringe and be like, I thought that was such a big thing, but it was just like a little problem. And it's like, well, but at least I got a song out of it.
For sure. And my like dramatic 15-year-old breakup songs that like from my crush that I had for like a week and I'm listening to it and it's like, it's the end of the world. And I'm like, was it? Because you're fine. But it's so funny to think like how much emphasis I put on these little situations that I look back on now and I'm like, wow, that was nothing at all. So
Do you have a favorite song of yours that you've released?
I do. My favorite song I've released is Fall Twice. I love that song. I wrote it and as soon as sometimes you write a song and you're like, yeah, okay, that was okay. I wrote that song and I loved it immediately and I it really connected with me, and I thought if I ever get around to releasing my music, because this was pre-music releasing that I wrote it, I was like, this song is going to make the cut. Like, even though I have hundreds of songs to rifle through and to choose from, this song's making the cut. This song has a really special place in my heart. And yeah, I love that song. So that song, or twice.
I'm going to be completely honest. I think I listened to it at some point yesterday because I was lying in bed last night and I just had one tiny, like it was probably about 2 words that were just going over and over my head. I sat there because I knew it was a song and I couldn't work out what song it was. And so I had to like keep playing it until I could work out what came next until I registered that it was actually Fall Twice. And I was like, it was driving me insane because it was just the same little bit that was in like an
Yeah.
earworm. And I was like, what does
What
it
is
come
that?
from?
Yeah, we've all been there.
So we talked a little bit about it because we mentioned your family, but are they supportive of your like music journey?
Yeah, for sure. They absolutely are. Obviously, my dad is a musician. He loves music. He loves my music. He brings it up on every occasion with every person we come across everywhere. He's like, oh, my daughter had songs. And they're like, we're at the park and we're just walking our dogs and we don't care because we've never met you before. But he brings it up. So he's like a cheerleader fangirl. And same with my mum. Like, she has come to every single one of my gigs ever. Doesn't matter if it's like the tiniest little bar. She's very supportive. I think parents as well, they are really, like, my parents especially, very supportive. They really believe in my music, which is lovely. But, they're also parents and they are concerned about pursuing a creative career. So, I think that's normal. They're like, yes, you're great and we love your music and pursue it, but also have something to fall back on because creative careers are really hard to pursue. So,
I guess there's a fine line between like the support and things like that, and then like the realistic side of it as well.
for sure.
It's
And I
like
think
having that
parents,
fine line.
yeah, and I'm like not a realistic person at all. I'm like, nah,
It's
I'm
like be
doing this.
delusional,
Yeah, exactly. But parents always are. They're always like, yeah, but also have a backup plan, please, because we don't want to be supporting you when you're 40. And I'm like, okay,
Parents and their butts, like
you're
butts.
great. You're amazing, but go to university.
It's like,
So,
let's take a pause.
yeah, pretty much.
How is like, I know because you're quite still a small artist that's growing, how's your like fan base? Do you have any like really big or like almost like super fan style fans or
I feel like I do. I have the best fan base. Can I just say they are so nice. I wake up to the loveliest messages I've ever received. Messages that go beyond anything that anyone has ever said to me before. you know, like your family and your friends support you, of course, but they're your family and friends, and they're there by obligation a lot of the time. You know, they want to be supportive. Yeah, they like the music, but they're not obsessed. They don't really, you know, they've known you your whole life. It's not like you're some, you know, special person to them. You're just plain old you. But, you know, I have the best fan base. They are so lovely. They send me the best messages. I do have like, I can think of people off the top of my head who especially like go above and beyond and just, you know, listen to my music so much, send me the most beautiful stuff. And that just like makes me so happy. Yeah, it just, you never think, you hope people will listen to like the art you create, but you know, you're sending it out into a void a lot of the time. There's so much great music out there. It's just like a big black hole. And when people discover it, your music, and really love it, it means a lot. It means everything, really. So
I love
yeah.
that. That's so sweet, though.
It's great.
I feel like we've kind of touched on this, but you're welcome to add anything more to it. What do you love most about making your own music?
Obviously, like the cathartic, therapeutic aspect of it, you know, just getting my feelings and emotions out there. And I have this whole new appreciation for working in the studio, because I write all my songs just like here on my bed with my guitar, or like in the lounge room at the piano. And then they just sit in my voice notes, and that's about it. That's how it's been for so many years. So to like take them into the studio and breathe life into them with my producer, Gabrielle, who everyone knows as Emery, is also such an aspect of music I've come to love so much. I love working in the studio. I love her, you know, wildly chaotic creative brain that comes up with all these awesome like instrumental parts and all these, you know, great production parts. And like working alongside that is super inspiring to me as well. And now when I feel like I write more intentionally now when I'm at home writing, I'm like, you know what? I'm thinking about production. I'm thinking about the end goal and result of this. So yeah.
That's very cool. Just that like idea of knowing that you've gone from like your voice notes to a producing in studio is so cool.
It feels really good.
If you could collaborate with anyone dead or alive, who would it be and why?
Taylor Swift.
I
Taylor
thought that
Swift.
might be, but I still wanted to ask anyway.
Taylor Swift. But also, you know, anyone else I mentioned, like Maisie Peters, Greta Ray, Noah Kahan, Olivia Rodrigo. I love Olivia Rodrigo. I forgot about her. I'm so sorry, Olivia. I didn't forget about you. You slipped my mind in when I was naming everyone I listened to. But, you know, any of those people, I would kill to work with. I would be so honored. But yeah, Taylor Swift.
I feel like
Taylor
that needs
Swift.
no further explanation though, just Taylor Swift.
I have nothing else to say. The cardboard cutout says enough. Taylor Swift.
Okay. What would you say to anyone who's looking at pursuing music as a career?
I say do it. You know, I really battled with the confidence to even release anything for so long. And I don't think you have anything to lose. And I know that's such a cliche thing to say, but you really don't. You know, I think if you love music and you're gonna do it regardless, that was kind of what I thought. I was like, okay, well, you're gonna sit in your room and you're gonna write songs about your little life, regardless of whether you put them out. So you may as well just put them out because they'll just be sitting, you know, collecting dust if not. And you're never going to know if you don't try, and it might not, you know, work out the way you really pictured it in your head, but at least you did it and you can say, you know what, that was a dream of mine, ticked it off the list, I did it. And there's going to be someone out there who listens to what you put out and they're going to be like, wow, that I really needed to hear that. And that is what I've found to be true. Like, even if you think no one's going to listen to it, there will always be at least one person who's like, that really connected with me. Thank you so much. And it's honestly enough. It's more than enough. It makes you feel so good. So just do it. Just do it.
I definitely feel that with the podcast as well, it kind of relates in with the like if one person just like I never imagined people would like want to come in like and tune in each week to listen to what I had to say.
For
And then to
sure.
find that one or two people do at the very least is kind of crazy.
It is. And yeah, exactly. And even if it's like not a big number in comparison to like, you know, huge artists listening base, to have like just a handful of people who are always tuning in, always listening to like, yeah, like your podcast every week and like my releases and what I put out there. It's like, it's such a like fulfilling experience. So I agree. I'm so content.
How do you cope with any negativity that comes like through online or in person?
I just try to, like take it in my stride. I am a very big overthinker ruminator. So it's hard. It's
Same,
really
I feel
hard.
you.
It's hard to just let it go. I'm like, they actually just hate me. And the idea of someone like really hating me, like is shattering to me. I'm like, no, everyone has to like me. You have to like me. I'm sorry. Like
People pleasers.
literally, I'm like, I can't go on living my life knowing one random person out there doesn't like me. But in saying that, I've had people comment things like that make me think they don't really like music. And I'm like, oh, yeah, that really sucks. But also my mindset, I'm like in my Delulu mindset, I'm like, you know what? Like it just means you're doing well because people only say mean things about people who are doing okay. You know? Like Taylor Swift, example, she has so many people trying to tear her down and she's thriving. She's doing like the biggest tour of her life. So like I'm like, hate on me, but it just means I'm like I'm winning. Thank you. Yeah, that's how I try to frame it in my brain.
Awesome. I love that. It's like they're not going to tear you down unless they've got something to tear down, I guess.
Exactly.
Okay, finally, do you have any upcoming releases or performances that you can tell us about?
I do. I'm performing tonight. Fun.
Oh, how snazzy.
Yeah. I'm opening for this amazing band who supported Pink last week.
Oh,
Yeah, which is really cool. And they're doing a little tour and I'm supporting them for their Melbourne show tonight. So that's exciting. And I have a lot of stuff that I have been working on and that's like pretty much done, like almost done. So I'm thinking that April might be like a good month for the next chapter of the
ooh.
story. But no, I'm so excited. I'm so excited for this year of releasing. I feel like the releases are very intentional and they're very storyline. Once they're all out, you'll be able to follow the story through and through. So yeah, I'm feeling like in my like folklore like story era.
Oh, I'm living for it. I've got to make a note. April is the month.
April. I don't know what day. Don't hold me to it. But no, yeah, there are lots of really exciting things coming into
I will be
fruition.
keeping
So
my ear out. Gives me
yeah,
something to look forward to in the midst of uni and exams and all those
true.
things.
Very true.
If people who are listening want to like reach out to you, find your music, find you on social media, where can they find that?
So I'm just pretty much Sophia Petro on everything. Sometimes I like add a little underscore at the end, but I'm pretty consistent. I'm just, yeah, Sophia Petro. I'm on everything. You can find me anywhere.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. It's been such a good little chat.
Thank you so much for having me and reaching out. Yeah, I was so excited to do this.
Thank you for joining us on this week's episode. It's been great having you. If you have any topics you'd love for me to discuss, want some big sisterly advice, or just want to say hey, just reach out to me on Instagram at It's a Girl Thing Pod, and I hope you join us next week. Stay beautiful.